Welcome to the Calm Nights, Strong Days podcast. With over 30 years in the health and wellness industry, I've realized there's no one-size-fits-all solution for sleep and stress resilience. What affects one person's sleep and ability to handle stress is different for each of us. The stage of life you're in, work and home stressors, and more all affect how your body handles stress and your quality of life. Join me as we explore a variety of tools, strategies, and solutions I've employed with clients over the years in solo episodes, as well as insightful interviews and experts. Together, we'll unravel more pieces of the puzzle, empowering you on your journey to calm nights and strong days. So let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the Calm Nights, Strong Days podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about a subject that I'm very passionate about. We are going to be breaking the norm and rethinking everyday stress. Now, I'd like you to just think of this analogy first. Think of the boiling frog. So when you place a frog in in cold water, and you gradually bring up the water to a boil, the frog doesn't jump out. And we sit here and we're thinking about this. And we're imagining this frog in cold water. We're imagining somebody turning up the water so that it starts boiling, which is going to kill this frog. And we're sitting there saying, jump, like frog, jump, get out of this water. The thing is that it doesn't jump and it dies. We're like shaking our heads going, how can you be doing this? The thing is that we are actually doing this in our everyday life. We are letting certain stressors have been increasing slowly over time. And it seems to be coming at such a slow, or it's not coming slow because it's affecting us, but it's coming at a level where we are getting overwhelmed, but we're not realizing the detrimental effects until it's too late to our health and how it's really, really affecting us. And it's almost like we have this weight on our shoulders that is gradually wearing us down. But even when it does become unbearable as well, society is often encouraging us to just bear with this burden silently. And so let me tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about social media. So think about this again, right? Social media and our screen time, the time that we're on our devices. For those of you that are of my age where we didn't even have devices. I mean, when work ended, it ended, right? We came home. There was no way, unless they called the home telephone and you were actually in the house, that work could get a hold of you. Work stopped once you left the office, right? We were able to actually sit and have dinner with our families. We were able to sit and go out to dinners and have conversations with people. We were able to give people our focus, time, and energy. When we're having downtime, when we're, playing with our kids, we're not interrupted with our phone. When we are, getting things done around the house. I know for me, my morning routine recently has been a huge struggle. And it is because I keep getting sucked into my phone. It's taking me forever to get through my morning routine. And so, we are not immune to this, right? We have completely normalized stressors. These long hours and constantly being available by email, messages. We have notifications on all of our phones so that we can hear them even if we're not around our phone. And we've normalized this stress that's associated with digital overload. And it's leading to all of these feelings of anxiety, distraction, information overload. I have spoke with coaches of university kids, and they cannot believe the suicide rates that have gone up and depression with their athletes. And when we stop and take a look at it, and I've seen studies on this, being sucked into social media, like they're on their phones late at night. They're not getting home from practice and just going to bed. They're on their phone. So their sleep time is decreasing. Being on screens decreases your natural melatonin, your sleep hormone, from releasing for 1 to 2 hours after you've turned off screens. And then we still have all of these revolving thoughts, this constant connectivity and the pressure to respond instantly to emails, instantly to messages, instantly to notifications. It's just taken us away from actually enjoying things that are in the moment, enjoying the calmness in our brain. Our brain always has to be on alert, always has to be going. And this is like a trauma response for people. Like when somebody has a trauma and they're always on high alert, that's what we're actually putting ourselves is into that state by always needing, having those notifications on, always needing our phone with us, always having to check our phone. It is unbelievable how we've normalized these distractions, and it's increasing the anxiety, the depression, the stress in our society constantly. Like, yes, we are absolutely busy. Yes, our jobs have so much involved in them. We have families, we have all these activities with our kids, but imagine if we actually got breaks in between where we were not pulled into our phone, where we were able to actually unwind, able to actually relax, able to actually have downtime. And then on top of it, with social media, we have these culture comparisons it's become a comparison culture where social media is setting these societal norms, and it's creating this culture of us to compare ourselves with everybody else. Meanwhile, we're just seeing the best of people. What we are seeing out in social media is the best of the best. People are not posting about their worst days. I know of couples that online you would think they're hilarious. Like they pull so many people into their comments, this one couple that I'm thinking of, and they're hilarious. And you would think they had such a great relationship, but I know what is happening behind the scenes in their relationship that they're not posting on social media. You see these people posting about their cars, but they're not talking about the debt that having that car has cost them. And it just makes us feel like we need the newest things. We need the best of the best because everybody is taking pictures of all these things, and we need to just it's comparison with one another. And it gives us these feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, anxiety is increasing. And then that leads into perfectionism. We have this pursuit of perfectionism, and in so many individuals that are trying to reach unrealistic standards. I listened to a gentleman who actually is a bookkeeper for a lot of coaching businesses. And he said that it is far and few between where there are these businesses that are having these huge, crazy launches. And between the amount that they're spending on all of the marketing, advertising, promotions, the time that they're spending in all of this, in order to have these launches that also do bring in a lot of money, the amount of money they're spending takes that income away. So people are saying you had this crazy dollar amount launch, or you're making all this money. So a lot of people are leaving regular jobs with a salary to try to do these businesses based on dreams and hopes that society has put on, or these norms that you can make all of this money on launches, but they're not telling you how much they spent on these launches or how often these launches don't work out. And just so many false standards out there. And we get this dopamine hit, which is basically like a drug addict. The thing is that it is somebody's job to want us to keep on their, um, to want us to stay on it. The Social Dilemma, I'm writing that down. The Social Dilemma on Netflix. That, if you have not watched, I highly recommend that you watch it. I watch it with my kids, and it is amazing. We're actually, it's been a few years since we watched it. We should watch it again as they're getting older too. They're seeing it, but Social Dilemma really dives in and teaches you how in all of these platforms, social media, in Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you have even in the Google, emails, Pinterest, all of these things, there is somebody that is paid very, very, very well to keep you on their platform. That's their job. And they are good at their job, really, really good at their job. So we do get sucked into these things, right? We do get pulled in when they're doing such a good job. And my hope is that from understanding all of this, understanding how much social media does suck you in, how much stress it does place on you, that we also realize the flip side that it's not going anywhere. It's always going to be there. And it can be a good tool. It can be a tool that we use to create connections with others. I am in some amazing Facebook groups. Oh my gosh, when I started learning about my son and what was going on with his brain, I joined 2E, Twice Exceptional, gifted groups for kids, and learned that I'm not alone. I learned that the outbursts from my son, the struggles he was having, the executive functioning, while also being crazy ahead in subjects, but how his brain doesn't learn the same way other kids learn. I realized I was not alone because I felt I was alone. And it's fascinating too, because there's actually some groups like this now that are in just my area, just in my city. And I'm seeing people, it's fascinating. I was in one, I'm like, you're the admin? You live down the street from me. I didn't realize her son was struggling, how my son was struggling as well. And so I don't feel alone, and having these groups has really built connection. The things I'm learning from some groups, I have a curling group for parents of competitive kids and coaches, so we can all work together to really be building a good, solid, sound environment for curlers. My son is starting a competitive curling team. He's on that journey, and I want to make sure that he's getting all the opportunities, but also in a way that is is positive and nurturing and healthy for him. So I created this group to help with that. So there's so many great things about social media. I am not negative about it, but I believe that we do need to be consciously aware of how much it does suck us in, how much we feel that when that notification pings, that sends a signal to our brain like, woo, reward, got to go answer that. Even when it's work calls and it's not your work hours, that starts to create this gray area between when is your work time and when it's not. When is your downtime? When is your time to connect with others? When is your time to be around people? And I truly, truly believe that deep down, our connections are actually decreasing in our live interactions with people on an everyday basis. And that human connection is so needed for us to be happy. Our human connection needs to be there for us to decrease our stress. And that's a whole other episode for me to go into. But I actually, because of things that have happened in my past, built up walls, stopped connections, and blamed my introvertedness on not having connections and that I was fine. And I'm realizing how much I missed out on and how much that was actually increasing stress in my life. So it really is an everyday thing that is normalized. The amount that we're on our phone is normalized. Although I have been working on this a lot with my kids, and it's fascinating when we're out about, they'll be like, oh, that person's on their phone as they're crossing the street, or, you know, they're going to get in an accident, or they're not even talking with each other and hanging out. They're all on their phone. That's so sad. So they're starting to see this other piece of it, how there's times where it is important for connection, but there's times where we need to stop and put it away. It shouldn't be a 24/7 thing, right? There are values with it, but there's also the negative. And we're really pushing to that one side. And the thing is that it is often easier to sit in the discomfort and know that you shouldn't be changing. I was interviewed on a podcast the other day, and we talked about social media. And she said that so many of her colleagues know that their use of social media has gotten to an unhealthy point. So many people know that the amount of times that they're spending on their screens is at an unhealthy point, but none of them are taking steps to make changes. And it is so much easier to sit in discomfort than to actually be vulnerable, get out of your comfort zone and make change. Let me say that again. It's easier to sit in discomfort than to be vulnerable, get out of your comfort zone and make change. It really is. And that's where I actually brought this up in for another topic, actually, in a group that I'm in a mastermind I'm in. And a guy, Josh Aranovich, he actually is an amazing guy who works with kids in high school who are struggling with their identities, working on SATs, helping them figure out where they want to go, where they want to be in life, what they should be studying, like finding their interests, finding out who they are, finding their passions. He's amazing at that. So that's Josh Aranovich. And he said, he's always got great insight. He said, consider whether there is a difference between comfort and ease, right? So the comfort is where keeps you stagnant and not growing. Ease is motion, but it's motion without resistance and it's flow. And if we think about that when we're thinking about social media, it's comfortable, scrolling through, getting the posts, getting the likes, commenting on people's things, like contributing to them, but most of them don't even know who you are. It's comfortable, and we get sucked into this ping to being on our screens. It's actually harder to sometimes have those face-to-face interactions, especially when our kids are struggling, especially when, we're struggling with things in our marriage, in relationships. It's so much easier to just pull up your screen, start working, do other distractions that your screen can so easily suck you into. But the ease in motion. So after you make these changes, after you get through the vulnerability and the discomfort of making the change, this ease comes out of it. And you start developing better relationships with your kids, with your spouse. You start relaxing more. Your brain starts to shut off more, and you get this flow. You don't have as much resistance in your life anymore. Your body can heal and repair. You can start sleeping, and your sleep is more productive. Screen time decreases your deep and your REM sleep abilities, which is your body's abilities to heal, repair, your mind, your memory, to process and problem solve. It's just amazing how much they can interfere with things in our life. We need them. What we haven't really focused on since computers have come into our lives, devices have come into our lives, is how do we use them in a healthy way? My kids are on screens with their schoolwork. I'm on screens with my business work. We have created strategies and all of that in order to help out, which is what I dove into a lot in that podcast. So I'm going to link that podcast episode in this as well, and so that you can really hear it. What I spoke about in there, though, is as these people are paid so well to suck you in, why fight it? Why not work with it? And that's where there are focus apps, distractor apps, different things you can call them. I'm going to also link an article too. I'm going to tell myself article, the distractor apps, and the podcast episode. Okay, I'm going to put those in there in the show notes. But there are focus apps that you can have actually on your phone. My kids and I have them on our laptops, where from 9 until 12, I have all social media blocked. So I can't get in. I actually have to focus on my work. And it's interesting because anytime that I do click on a social media app, it actually sends me to my Trello board, which is all of my list of all the things I need to do today. So it refocuses me on this is what you're supposed to be focusing on. And I click that social media less and less and less. But it was such a habit. I was probably doing it every 5 to 10 minutes when I first got the distractor apps on my laptop. On the phone, now Apple has a focus app. There's also one called Zen, something or other. I can't remember. That you can also put on Apple, but I believe Apple now has it in their newer models, newer versions of Apple phones, iPhones. I'm not an Apple user, if you can tell. Although I am very tempted to because of their focus apps. You can tell them that between the hours of like 7 p.m., 6 p.m. until like 9 a.m., you can't get on any of your work emails. You can also do a distractor app where like for me, I was saying with my morning routine, with my morning routine that, sorry, I'm coughing, that I'm really struggling with getting pulled into. This morning. I got pulled into a text message and a LinkedIn message and all of these things that you can say that I only want to focus between, whatever, midnight and 7 a.m. It can only be or 8, 9 a.m. can only be your alarm. It can be my breathing app, my Audibles account, my podcast account, maybe the Weather Channel, but that's it. Because those are the only things that I need in the morning to do my morning routine. I need to go on. Well, I like to put a podcast on while I do my workout. I like to, or an audiobook, and I need to do my breathing. But I find that every time that I go on to actually go and click those apps, it gets sucked into something else. So there is an article that I have as well on distractor apps that I did one just for our laptops, but there is one that is a paid one for phones, for Android phones. And I think I'm going to have to invest in that because I'm finding that this is really taking my morning routine time. It's sucking me into that dopamine hit and taking the power, taking the power out of my morning routine, that momentum that my morning routine gives me, the way that morning routine makes me feel. It's taking all of the power and onus out of that because I keep getting sucked into everything else. So why fight it, right? Like I do want those. I want the certain apps that are on my phone. That being said, I don't actually have social media on my phone. I have one group that I pay for that's through an external app on my phone, but I do have LinkedIn. So maybe I need to take LinkedIn off my phone, right? But I can't take my text messaging off my phone. And I find that I get into that in the morning. So I would like to have that distractor app where I can just take it off, where I can just focus it. I don't have notification sounds on my phone at all, ever. So that is a huge one. I take notifications for most every app off of my phone, except for Telegram, which I know is my husband. And everything else though, I have, and my text messages, those I don't have notifications taken off, but everything else I don't have notifications. I have to actually look at my phone and see, oh, there's a message there. So those are big things that can definitely help you. Taking social media off of your phone, having widgets as well. Just, it is crazy that when you turn on your phone, your fingers automatically go to the social media. They automatically go to it. It's a pathway created in your brain that is like, oop, this is where it is. So you can take that widget and take it off of your home screen. So you actually have to go through into the back end, into your apps to pull it up when you need social media to start breaking that pattern. Or you can put something that you know helps you focus in the spot of where that widget currently is for that social media. And every time you go to it, you're going to open that and it'll be a reminder that you just got sucked in to start changing that pathway as well. But honestly, it is hard. It is so hard because these people are so good at their job of sucking you in. They're so good at it that why fight it? Just put focus apps on your phone and start seeing how it works for you. I am going to tell you that when you do this, you are going to pick up your phone tons. You'll probably pick it up every 5 minutes, 10 minutes to check and see that something's there, but the focus app isn't going to allow you to do it. And you'll start seeing how pulled into your phone you are, how much time in your day it takes from you. It takes from connections in your family. It takes from you getting things done in your day. We talk about not having enough time in our day. And if we take this time where we're devoting it to our phones and we spend it on the things that we need to get done in our day, we're going to start getting more and more done in our day, which is going to take so many stressors off of your plate. So many stressors off of your plate. It's unbelievable. There's this kind of analogy, if we think about it, like we have this static pond. So the comfort that we have is this static pond. Like the water is lifeless. It's still, it's got algae. It may have some like algae eaters, bottom feeders, but most living things cannot survive in that stagnant water. There's not oxygen moving in it. And that is where we kind of are when we are on our social media. Like everything is stagnant around us. We're not seeing the relationships. We're not getting things done in our day. We're not focusing. We're not getting the recovery we need. And if we actually were to think of it more like we would like a flowing river, it is initially turbulent and chaotic because we're making that change. We're getting out of our comfort zone. But ultimately, that flowing river renews you. It gives you the vitality. You get more energy and everything starts flowing through you. You get things done. So being on your devices is more that stagnant river, and actually getting into the flow, getting off of your device will be turbulent at the start, but it is going to give you so much energy and take so much stress off your plate. Like we could go through these deep things. We can work through your traumas with IFS. We can, like, there's so many things that we could be doing. We could pull out all of the tools for stress management. We can give you like certain supplements to be supporting your stress system. But honestly, you making this change of decreasing your time that you're spending sucked into your devices is going to take so much stress off of your plate. We have normalized the amount of time we all spend on our devices. And if we denormalize that, we can start normalizing our stress, bringing it back into balance more. And it will just affect you so much. So as we're concluding this like exploration into the impact of social media on our stress levels, it is absolutely evident that the normalization of stress in our lives extends far beyond the workplace, far beyond relationships, far beyond traumas. The influence of digital overload and the comparison culture, it's really seeped into every single aspect of our daily routines. And it's shaping our behaviors and our perceptions in these profound ways. The addictive nature of dopamine hits. There's the detrimental effect of the screen time before bed. As we said, it doesn't kick in your natural melatonin. It decreases your deep and REM sleep. That it's very clear that our relationship with social media can have significant consequences to our sleep, our stress levels that definitely do affect our physical and our mental well-being. So if we embrace the discomfort, we acknowledge this need for change, we can start taking these proactive steps and reclaiming control over our digital lives. There are people whose job is they're so good at their job. Let's not fight them, right? Let's use focus apps. Let's set boundaries with social media. Let's have open communication with our employers about digital wellness. We truly have the power to redefine our relationship with technology and prioritize our sleep, our stress, and our mental health. So I am encouraging everyone who's listening to this to reflect on your own digital habits. So think about your digital habits now. If you have a way of going into your screen and seeing how much time you're spending in a day on your phone, look at that and think about what you could do with that time. If you had even a quarter of that time back, what could you have done with that in your day? Think of the small changes that you can make to alleviate the stressors of social media in your life. I will post in the show notes below the link to a whole bunch of different apps that you can put on your laptop or your phone. And you have on the Apple Focus apps, so definitely use those. And just remember, change may be tough. Well, it is tough. But the rewards of breaking free from the static pond of comfort and diving into that flowing river of growth are immeasurable. Wait, before you go, if you found this podcast valuable, please consider liking and subscribing. Your support helps others discover these insights too. And if you're ready to transform your sleep and stress management and would like to see if we are a good fit with one another, let's chat. The link to my calendar is in the show notes below. Let's connect and start your journey to calm nights and strong days now. Until next time, sleep peacefully and stay resilient.